People really need to know that the beneficiary designations come before the will. And we, as the attorneys, need to know who is named as a beneficiary on all of our clients' assets.
Our motto in our company is, we're house flippers, we buy houses. But our motto is, we help and we buy houses too.
We wanted to do well. I think people in business want to do well, but we had to do good.
I don't work for the money. I work because I love what I do. That's not our reason for helping, but it turns out it's the fringe benefit of doing well by doing good. I said, focus on helping people. If we make a little less, it's okay. But the reality is, the more you help people, the more you actually make.
I had to help people. And in fact, in my firm, our motto was doing well by doing good.
Right. Welcome to the Unlocking Senior Resources podcast by Leave the Key. I'm Larry Wagner, and I've spent 30 years working with seniors, where I was a certified senior advisor, and the last 15 years in the home buying industry as a certified senior transition specialist, where I specialize in dealing with seniors going through a transition in their lives. This podcast is for seniors, those with seniors they love, and people who work in the senior community. In each episode, we bring on a guest who works to improve the lives of seniors. This podcast is your key to unlocking senior resources. Welcome. Today we're here with Ron Fatoullah from Meltzer, Lippe, a law firm in Mineola. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You and I go
Great
back.
to be here.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
You and I had a meeting years ago with one of my clients, probably 15 years ago.
Yes.
Who did some will and trust work, and you guys wrote it up. And that's when I got to meet you for the first time.
Yeah. That was terrific.
And that woman had 27 beneficiaries, I remember. Half with charities, half with family. It was rather nightmarish from my perspective, too.
Those documents were long.
They were long, absolutely. But and then we stumbled across each other again at a networking meeting, dealing with senior citizens. So nice to meet you.
Same here. Same here. Thank you.
So you're you're a lawyer, and quickly, how did you get involved in law?
Very interesting. I would call it the long and winding road.
Right.
How I got there. I actually, after college, I went to social work school. I wanted to do something that would change people's lives. Mm-hmm. I thought social work was the answer, but midway into social work school, I was going to get a doctorate. So this is not going to do it. So I thought that I'd always wanted to go to law school. I went to law school with the thought of being a music attorney.
A music attorney?
From
social work to music attorney.
Well, and I wanted to help people, but I loved music so much, and it was pulling me in. Right. My high school group is very interesting. I had a group in high school. I sat next to this tall, skinny kid in ninth grade.
That wasn't you?
8th, 9th grade. It probably was me, but another one.
Another tall, skinny kid, okay.
Another tall, skinny kid. His name was Jeff Hyman. And he, one day he said, I'm getting a drum set. And I said, well, I'm getting a guitar. He said, we're going to set up a group, and it's going to be a really good one. So I stayed with the group for like part of 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th grade, which was great. Then I, started to get the jitters. I wanted to go to college, social work school, maybe law school, and just continue what I was doing. But I always had the passion for music. Right. Anyway, this group with Jeff became Joey Ramone of the group, the Ramones. And they kind of changed the face of, or started actually, punk rock. So I just was so into the music, and I loved those days with Jeff, who actually, he played drums for us, but with the Ramones, he played guitar.
That's funny.
He was playing guitar.
That could have been you.
And lead singer. Yeah, so I'm the 5th Ramone, you could say.
That's it.
But all of the original group, they happen to be dead, and I'm here.
There you go. So maybe it was a good move.
Exactly. I think I made a good move.
Okay.
That's one of my good moves. And so I've been practicing law for quite a while. I had my own practice initially, and I loved it. It was just me. But then I slowly started working with seniors, and that was in the 80s. And I remember in Great Neck, I had this older woman who came. She was in her 80s, and things worked out well. She told all of her friends.
Right. Oh, there you go.
You got to see Ron. And at one point, they called me the poverty lawyer. I said,
I don't know reputation.
Yeah, because in the day, I told a lot of people you could actually transfer your assets into a trust.
Okay.
Make yourself
poorish,
and go on Medicaid in case you need long-term care at home or in a nursing home.
Yep.
So that was in the 80s.
You're at the beginning of
in the very beginning. Yeah. There was no term elder law.
Right.
So as I started my practice, I started in 1980 and slowly built up a firm.
Yeah.
We had about 22 employees.
Wow.
In the heyday. Not huge.
I mean, the two offices, I think in Forest Hills, maybe?
We had an office in Great Neck, Forest Hills, Brooklyn, and Manhattan.
I didn't know. I knew because I used to eat one of each of the offices.
Yeah. So we were all running around a lot, which was great.
Yeah.
And really loved it. I love doing elder law, but of course we do estate planning for individuals of all net worths.
Right.
Ranging from 100,000. We have one client right now who has about 4 to 5 billion.
5 billion.
Billion with a B. Yep.
That's a big number. I'd even settle for 1 billion. I'm not greedy.
So would I. Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. He was very high up in a corporation.
Right.
He was number 2 in the corporation. They became huge.
Okay. Was it a .com corporation?
Nope. But I don't. I
wouldn't say anything more than that. If
I say too much.
No. He's entitled to his anonymity.
Yes.
The more you have, the more anonymous you want to be.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, unless you're some of the crazy
they want to be
people.
anonymous.
Okay.
That's for sure.
Yeah. But usually the big money, a lot of it's .com money. But that's why I asked.
Yeah.
It's that or other.
Right.
Those are the two categories.
Right. Or real estate.
There are a lot of real estate people,
A lot of real estate people.
Yeah. I'm one of them, but I'm not a billionaire. I'm working on it.
Good.
Working my first 100 million.
Get there.
I'm working my first 100 million. So, so you were doing elder law before elder law was elder law.
Yes.
There you
go. I like that.
There you go.
I might use that.
You're welcome to it. You're welcome to it. My parting gift to you. Well, you're not parting yet. Go ahead. Okay, so you've been practicing elder law for a very long time, relative to the
long time. Definitely over 30 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I love it. I love the changes that I make in people's lives.
Yeah.
They might sound a little trite, but I always wanted to help people.
Right.
But in my brain, to be quite honest, I had to help people. And in fact, in my firm, our motto was, doing well by doing good.
Right.
You've heard of it before, but that's what I took.
Right.
We wanted to do well. I think people in business want to do well, but we had to do good.
Right. That's funny. Our motto in our company is, because we're house flippers, we buy houses. So, but our motto is, we help and we buy houses too. And that's just really our job is I'm turning 68 next month. I don't work for the money. I work because I love what I do. And we don't pay out people on commission. So they get paid salary, whether we make sales or not. So it's up to me to decide how much we're going to make or not make. As I said, focus on helping people. If we make a little less, it's okay. But the reality is, the more you help people, the more you actually make.
Exactly.
That's not our reason for helping, but it turns out it's the fringe benefit of doing well by doing good.
Right. And I think it's the way of the world.
Yeah. Yeah. We've become more conscious, I think, as a society of that.
Right.
At least some.
Yeah.
Anyway. But okay, so
I think most.
You think most? Okay, I'll get it. When I don't know, I say half. When I have no idea. So I spent 30 years. I mentioned this many times in the podcast, working with my dad as financial advisors, and we would do a lot of estate planning for clients. We called the superficial planning, and then we'd bring the client to the attorney or call the attorney in advance and write him an email, and the attorney just has to basically make the documents because all the work was done. They knew what a trust was versus a will. They knew the importance of each. They knew who the executors were going to be, their trustees were going to be, and all that work that you have to go and ask all the million questions, it was all done. We're not lawyers. We're not going to write a document. But we were like the preparatory work.
And lawyers like myself love that.
Right, correct. With us, I brought her in, and I literally handed you guys a piece of paper with 27 beneficiaries. So
I wish you could have cut it down a little bit.
Yeah, I tried. And half of them were charities.
Which is very unusual.
Yes.
By the way, when you have charities, and you give them a percentage,
no good.
The AG gets involved, the Attorney General, and
you have a whole audit situation.
Right. And they actually review all of the accounting work that we do, and it takes them typically over a year just to look at it.
Oh, gosh.
So things really get tied up.
I always told clients, always leave a dollar amount.
Yes.
Because you don't want to get audited. But I thought the charities are the ones that had the right to audit. You're saying the AG audits.
The AG looks everything over. It's their job to protect a minor,
right,
a disabled person,
right,
charities.
I learned something. My last podcast last week, I said, I learned 3 things on that one. And it was an unlikely podcast to learn things. When you get into with lawyers, there's so much more to learn. Even though I've been doing it in my capacity, not law, but in my capacity for 30 years, there's still things. And things change. I've been out of it for
all
10
the
years.
Time.
Yeah,
all the time.
But I did not know the AG gets involved. My advice was better than I thought.
It was great advice.
Yeah, I said, just put percentages to all the family all you want.
Right.
But give dollar amounts to the charities.
Exactly.
Yep. Okay. First good nugget.
First good nugget.
First good. We'll keep
forget
score.
That, guys.
Right, exactly. We're going to actually have a little chalkboard over there. Okay, so you and I spoke before the cameras were rolling, and you said something interesting as to wills versus trust, but general estate planning. And at what stage do you believe people should talk to an attorney to prepare themselves for estate planning?
It depends.
Yeah.
If someone's younger and they're doing well, right then and there. I don't care if they're 25, 30, or 35, they should do the planning right then and there. If someone's younger and they have an illness,
right,
do the planning right then and there.
Yep.
I guess I shouldn't talk about maybe, but just today I spoke to someone who lost a close individual in his or her life, who was only in his 40s with 3 young children. And it was so sad.
Yeah.
And you just don't know what's going to happen in life. So I would say it's always a good idea to plan ahead, because you just never know.
Yep.
But if you want to do elder law planning, I say 50 plus, 55 plus.
Right.
You really want to get a plan in place for long-term care.
Yep.
But even when, my kids go to college, when they went to college, powers of attorneys, healthcare proxies, as a parent, I want to know that I have at least some control as to what's going on, because I'm going to get that first call about their, healthcare from the nurse's office.
Yep.
I want to be able to make decisions, God forbid, if they one day can't make those decisions.
I would say you just taught me something else about college, but I learned that 2 podcasts ago. And that is, the person said when your kid goes off to college.
I almost got it in there.
Almost. That would have been 2. But she said, same thing. When your kids go off, you want to have say. It's exactly what you said. It never occurred to me. My parents never thought about it when I went off to college. Although I think they were much more lenient with the HIPAA stuff wasn't around in 1970s and so on.
Yeah, it was easier. They would call you, you're the parent. Okay.
Right, exactly. Right. But now things are very, very different, very regulated.
Yes.
The other comment I'm going to make is, and I said this 2 podcasts ago, and the person said, that's a good idea. If you're thinking of getting pregnant, that don't even have to be pregnant, don't even have to have children. If you think, maybe next year I want to have a child, put something together now.
Absolutely.
What happens if something happens delivery day?
Yeah.
Mom dies and the kid's born.
Right.
Now, you know what happens, the whole story with the estate settlement, mom has money, dad has money, and with mom and dad have money, and then this kid suddenly inherits half the estate, half of mom's money.
Yeah.
That's not what you want. The kid's a day old.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's happened twice with us in my career, where mom died during childbirth.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying anything crazy.
No, not crazy at all.
Yeah.
And there's a Medicaid exception if a parent can actually give gifts, there's an exception with the house.
Right.
You know, the parent can give a house to a child who's lived in the home for at least 2 years, and that's an exempt transfer for Medicaid. So we had
that.
Number
2.
Yeah. So we had a situation where the mother died during childbirth and the grandmother brought up her grandchild like the mother.
Right.
And the grandmother needed to go into a nursing home. And we wanted to give that home to the granddaughter, saying it was this exception because the grandparent brought that granddaughter up
Took the
as
role.
a child. New York City, the first time this happened, said, you make a good point. Okay. The second time we did it with Nassau County, they said, are you kidding? You're not the child. So, this is a grandchild.
Right.
We wanted to save the home.
Right.
So you're a smart guy. Guess what we did?
Just once that, I don't know. It's happening now. Go ahead.
We had an adoption done.
Oh my God.
So we got around it. The grandmother adopted the grandchild as a child, and we were able to transfer the home, protect the home for Medicaid purposes with this exception. It's a bit of a narrow exception.
Yes.
But the point that I bring out, number one, it's a good thing to know. But number two, there's so much creativity with elder law planning and estate planning.
Yeah.
People think, I could talk to Chat GPT and get something. You're going to get something, but a good estate planning attorney or elder law attorney is creative.
Yeah. My wills and trusts are, I don't know, over an inch thick, collected between my wife and me and all my companies and everything else. Yeah, absolutely. We put together a special needs trust in our documents, and then about 3 years later, we had a granddaughter born with special needs. But we were prepared for it. Nothing had to change.
Larry, you bring that up. Yeah. In every will we do now,
right?
We put a special needs trust just in case. We put provisions just in case a beneficiary is addicted, has creditor issues, is going bankrupt. You don't want the money that you've worked so hard for to go down the drain. Right. So you want a good will that would cover all of this. And I'm sorry to hear that. But
she's wonderful. She requires a lot, but she's wonderful.
I have no doubt.
Yeah. You said something. Brought something up to me. I thought I can go 18 directions, but I was going to respond to something, but I can't know what I was going to say. You expressed your issue about my granddaughter, and that threw me off. But I thank you for the sentiment, but I've got my point. So we'll move on from there. If I think about it, I'll bring it up.
I'm sure I'll throw you off again.
You'll throw me off again. I'm kind of standing on one toe most of the time. But with that said, so planning is not seeing an attorney, for starters, about protecting yourself is not an age-based thing. Just what you do is a function of age.
Exactly.
So don't think you're too young to see an attorney to plan.
No, because you're a parent, your children are going to college. Right. You want to protect yourself, right? But you also want to have some control over your children. You get married, you have a child, which is a great point that you brought up. Yeah. You want to have at a minimum a will. Right. And I'll give you another example, it's a true situation. We had a client, young guy, came into my office, bought a term life insurance policy. He says, for what it is, it's dirt cheap. Yeah. So he got a $10 million term policy for 30 years. Right. And he said, it's great. My wife, my kids, everyone is going to be taken care of if something happens to me. But, I'm sure I'm going to outlive the term. Right. I said, just in case, we should set up an ILIT. Yep. An irrevocable life insurance trust, ILIT. Yep. And he agreed to do it. So he put the ownership of the life insurance into this trust. About 25 years later, he died suddenly. Oh, gosh. And all of this money was out of the estate, no estate taxes, no probate, no nothing.
You earned your fee on that one.
I earned, in the day, it was so cheap. Yeah. But we earned our fee. And that was an individual that planned early in life. Right. And it was so important that we did that.
$10 million that would have been in his estate.
Yes.
For the cost of a document. Oh, my God.
It was crazy.
talk about a many thousands time multiple of your cost, the benefit.
Yes. Oh my God, yes.
Yeah. That's unbelievable. That's like hitting a lottery. Well, someone died for that, but
things like that make me feel amazing.
Absolutely. I know exactly when I did what I did. Even I do what I do now. When I see people at a closing table and they're so thankful that everything's so easy. These are oftentimes senior citizens. Their capacity, I don't mean their capacity as their mental cognition, but their ability to handle things.
Yeah.
They get exhausted easily, mentally, emotionally, physically.
Yeah.
And when you make everything easy for them and they feel so thankful for that.
Yeah.
That's why I like working with seniors.
Yeah.
Seniors are a really appreciative group of people.
It's interesting. I just had this discussion with a friend of mine. As people age, they still can be totally lucid, but many times they feel overwhelmed much easier.
Yep.
And if you could actually make their lives easier, they want to downsize typically.
Yeah.
We had one client who wanted to upsize because one of their children said, you get a two-family home, the child and their, children, the daughter said, we'll move in with you. But typically it's downsizing.
Right, typically.
They want to make things easy for themselves.
With that,
and you provide that to them, which is great.
It's so, I wasn't comfortable with the business we were in because I was sort of a lender for my own company. I didn't get involved in the day-to-day. And then I got involved in the day-to-day as I wound down my financial business. And I realized, and I started talking to the clients. I realized how much good we really do. I had no idea.
Yeah.
So I understand exactly the feeling you get when you've helped people in a non-physical way. It's more ethereal the way we help people.
Yeah, exactly.
Except that $10 million story, then it's measurable.
That's measurable.
The other parts are not measurable.
But a lot of what I do, I think, is measurable. We protect the home. I first started doing the work I do because I saw spouses. I saw one case, I remember in the 80s. It was like in the mid-80s. And she came in to me and said, Mr. Fatoullah, I don't know what to do. I said, what happened? My husband's in a nursing home. He's been ill for a very long time. I had almost $1 million in the 80s.
Right.
How much is that worth now?
That's money.
Yeah, that's money. And over all of these years, I lost all of that money. And now I could just pay the nursing home for another month or two, and I don't know what to do. And I have to admit, I got very upset.
Yeah.
I said, I wish you would have just called me before. You would have protected every penny.
Yeah.
And here, in my mind, I was thinking, woman in her 80s.
Right.
She's frail.
Yeah.
She's scared about her husband being sick. She's overwhelmed as a caregiver. She's
going to be scared about being homeless.
Financially, not stable at all.
Yeah.
And she's fearful of that. It was awful.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, no more, never again.
Right. Yeah.
And I say that about a lot of things.
Yeah.
It's Holocaust remembrance.
Yeah.
And we had family I had family that was
Us too.
involved and never again.
Yeah.
But I took that phrase and I said to myself, I can't stand seeing these spouses like this. It doesn't have to happen.
Right.
And, I said to myself, never again. And I went on the lecture campaign to speak about it because I want people to know that they could protect their assets.
Right.
Even if you don't have long-term care insurance. Long-term care insurance is great, but even if you don't have it, you could do planning.
Yep.
You could protect your assets. You don't have to be a spouse, spouse that's impoverished.
Right.
We could make sure that you could live your life, a good life, and do what you want to do.
Yep. I have long-term care insurance.
It's great.
It's becoming unaffordable.
Unaffordable, and most people can't get it.
Right.
And some people that already have it can't afford it because the insurance companies are raising their rates.
Double. They've doubled in the last number of increases. And they said there's probably another 3 coming. And then after that, we don't know. So
mine more than doubled.
Mine more than
tripled.
doubled. Really?
Yes.
We went from $8,000 to $16,000 a year. But I have a gigantic policy. I bought it when I was 45 and turning 68. I bought it the day before my 45th birthday.
Smart.
Right. And my wife was 43. and I'm turning 68 next month. So I have it for, it's a long time.
I'm sure you have a pretty decent amount per diem,
I had
right?
$300 a day then,
with an
5%
inflation
compounded.
Rate. Yeah.
So next increase, I'm going to start reducing my benefit. It's just higher than necessary.
I'm curious that maybe you have more than I do.
We'll have to do the math. We'll have to do the math. It's easy enough to calculate.
I have almost $700 a day.
Yeah.
Because I bought it so long ago.
Yeah.
With a 5% inflation factor.
Correct. Right.
Yeah.
And $300 a day was the most you could buy.
Yeah.
That's what we bought.
Exactly.
It was affordable. It was $4,000 a person for my wife and me. It was $8,000. Now it's $16,000. How many? And if I bought it today, it'd probably be $30,000.
Yeah.
And if you could afford $30,000, you probably don't need the insurance.
Right. Exactly.
But I used to sell it, which is one reason I bought it. I don't believe in. If I believe in the product, I should own it. And I believed in it then. I don't believe in it now. But I used to say then, the people that could afford it don't need it. The people that need it can't afford it.
In most cases?
Yeah.
That's the way.
Right.
It's interesting. I just had a client call me.
Yeah.
He's in his 60s, young 60s, and he was just diagnosed with dementia.
Oh, God.
A professional, very vibrant, has a great practice, but he's diagnosed with dementia, early onset, and he has long-term care insurance. And he called me, he said, they just wanted to bring it up to $32,000 a year for him and his wife.
Right.
And he said, I'm giving this up. And I said,
you're crazy?
No, you're not. You are not giving this up. He said, you just have to pay it. And and he did. But yeah, it's crazily expensive.
We got a friend, son, was not officially diagnosed with MS. And we got a long-term care insurance because he wasn't diagnosed anywhere officially. And we got him long-term care insurance. He was diagnosed about a year later. He dropped his policy. Said, I don't think I'm going to need it. He says, but it's going to take a long time before I need it. I made it until my 50s, and it was 25 or something. I said, pay it, because you'll need it for a decade or decades. He dropped the insurance. I
hope
said,
there's not a bad ending to this
No,
story.
I lost touch. But
okay.
I lost. The parents are gone. And the parents and my parents were friends. That's how we know each other. So the parents are gone. But the whatever ending there is, I don't know it. If there is an ending yet. But he's a couple years, 3 years younger than me. But
what a shame.
What a shame. He had it. It was in his hands. So never again.
Yeah.
We can bring the horse to water. Well, we brought him to water, but we couldn't make him keep the policy. I think that's the way it goes. Bring horse to water and have him keep the policy. So anyway, we'll rephrase it.
That's a new one, but it works.
But it works. So, but anyway, so the key here is that as advisors, no matter what business you're in, whether I'm a home buyer or a financial advisor, you're an attorney, you have an accountant, our job is to give you advice. We can't make you take the advice. We can make sure you listen to it.
Right.
And my father, as a parent, would say, as a parent, I earn the right to have you hear me. Don't have to listen to me, but you have to hear me.
Right.
And if I tell you something you don't agree with, don't do it. But you have to give me the chance to make myself clear.
Larry, I can't tell you how many times clients have not listened to my advice and called me 5 years later. I am so sorry I didn't follow your advice. Now what?
Now what?
Oftentimes we still could save half of the assets.
Right.
But I'm not a half kind of guy.
Yes.
I want to protect all of the assets.
Yeah. We're both preaching to the choir.
Right.
So with that said, so now we say, so again, I keep harping on the young person who says, I don't have any assets, I don't need a will, but you're about to have a child. Well, who's going to take care of your child if you and your husband die?
Yeah.
Or you and your wife die? I'm thinking of my daughter. So
in
your
the will,
spouse
we
died.
have a guardianship provision.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So
how could you think that you don't need a will?
Right.
And that's just the beginning.
Yeah.
Power of attorney, healthcare proxy, a living will. Come on.
We're dealing with
probably a living trust.
And probably a living trust. Correct.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, explain what a living. People don't know living trust, and people don't know living wills. So those are two things I think
and people actually confuse a living will with a living trust.
Oh, with a living trust, yes, and a living will with a will. I hear. So why don't you outline those?
Yeah, because the will is used twice and trust is used twice for different things.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's start from the beginning. The last will and testament, and we were calling this document the will, right, sets forth where your assets go when you pass away. But the will, last will and testament, does not cover any assets that are already in a living trust,
right,
or any assets that have a beneficiary designated on it already.
like an IRA.
Like an IRA,
Yep.
or a bank account that's
Yes.
ITF, in trust for my husband or my
Right.
children,
Mhm.
etc.
Or a joint, even that even gets messy. There's different joints. So
Yes, there are different kinds of
Yep.
joint accounts.
Yep.
Right. And it does get very messy.
Yeah.
And different types of jointly held deeds,
Right.
tenants in common, jointly with the right of survivorship, tenants by the entirety, etc.
Right.
And people really need to know that the beneficiary designations come before the will. And we, as the attorneys, need to know who is named as a beneficiary on all of our clients' assets, because that could easily mess up the plan that we're trying to do,
Right.
whether we're trying to avoid probate, protect assets for Medicaid, save on estate taxes. There could be so many different reasons how and why we have to know who the beneficiaries are, because it could just mess everything up.
Correct. 100%. It's so critical. And so often you write all the proper documents, and then we, the client, doesn't put everything in order, doesn't change the beneficiaries to coordinate with the documents.
That's a whole other story. That. All right. Anyway, getting back to your question, I didn't forget it.
There you go.
So the last will and testament is the document that sets forth where your assets go when you pass away, but it does not cover any assets already in the living trust, and no assets that already have beneficiaries designated on them. So just as an example, I have 2 children. If I have a will that says I give everything to my 2 sons equally,
right,
it's great. But if I have one account that's POD, payable upon death, to my son Josh,
because he's the one who's home and takes care of me, lives right close
or
to me.
that could be.
That's
my Josh is in LA.
Oh, there you go.
Why did he move so far
my
away?
Josh is right over there. He's my son-in-law.
Oh, oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, but if I had one account that's POD or TOD, transfer upon death or payable upon death, to Josh, well, those assets will go to him. And my whole plan of giving is to make everything equal, won't be met.
Right.
Okay. But that's what a will does.
Yep.
Where your assets go when you pass away. What is a living will? Has the same word, will, in it.
Yep.
Living will is a document that sets forth what your healthcare wishes are, obviously, while you're living.
Totally unrelated to a regular will.
Unrelated to your will or last will and testament is your living will. So your living will might say, I don't want to be kept alive artificially if there's no chance of recovery. It's great. Or you may want to say, I want to be kept alive artificially using any measures at all for the rest of my life. And I even, this might be interesting for people to hear and see. I have some clients, not many, but a handful that signed up for cryogenics.
Oh, really?
Which is where when you die, they put you in a tube of liquid nitrogen. It's a little, creeps me out a little bit.
Yeah.
But like Ted Williams did that. I have a handful of clients, a few clients that signed up for that, which is quite expensive.
I was going to ask you, what does that cost? Do you have an idea? You don't know.
Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. I
don't want to come back when everyone I know is dead.
Exactly. I think, but Ted Williams did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
If the Mets don't do well, one day he'll maybe he'll.
Right. A lot of people have done it. They save their heads as though.
I know. I wasn't going to get into it.
I think that was Disney. I think Disney did that.
Yes. Yeah. Disney did it as well.
Yeah.
So.
And that was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago.
Okay. But, so they have to sit there. The living will would cover if you want to be cryogenically frozen.
Yes.
Okay.
But my point is, it sets forth what your healthcare wishes are. There's another document I'm just going to mention.
Before we go to another document, if I want to, does it dictate what happens when I die if I want to be cremated or so on? Would that be
the
that
living
document?
will? It can,
right?
But it's really not the right form.
Okay.
It's what you want while you're living.
It says living. That's why I asked the question.
Yeah. So there is another document if you want to be cremated. So we call it a little creepy, but we call it designation of remains. And actually, it's now codified in our law in New York State, where you could say you want to be cremated or you want to be buried, where you want it, how you want it, etc.
Yeah.
And I don't do it often, but I had one client that came in. It was a Jewish couple, and they were fairly religious. And the husband said, honey, I'm going to be cremated. And she said, she made a little joke.
Over my dead body.
My dead body. You got it. You got it.
Yeah.
Over my dead body.
Yeah.
That's not what we do.
Right.
And he said, I'm sorry, honey. This is what I want.
If you're not going to give it to him, getting divorced. Yeah.
So we did a designation of remains. It's codified in New York law now. It's almost like a healthcare proxy, but not who's going to make your decisions during your lifetime. That's a healthcare proxy in New York State.
Right.
But this is a designation of remains where you name someone and you set forth what you want and what you don't want afterwards. And that's where, if you want to do cryogenics, I can't imagine doing that in my wildest dreams. But if you want to do that, that's where you would do it.
Yeah. That's an interesting concept, cryogenics.
Right.
Hi, I'm Larry.
And I'm Ben. We're the father and son team of Leave the Key Home Buyers, and we want to buy your house.
We specialize in working with seniors who are transitioning out of their homes, and we understand what you were going through.
So if you're considering selling your home and would like an alternative to the traditional overwhelming process, reach out and see how we can help.
Do you have an outdated home?
No need to update anything.
Have a home that needs repairs?
Don't bother with repairs.
Don't want to take everything with you?
Leave whatever you want behind.
Dreading the headaches that come with agents?
Sell your home without paying a commission.
Dreading prying neighbors attending open houses and passing judgment on your home?
No need for public showings.
When you sell to us, you'll have all the certainty of closing on your timeline, not someone else's, and there's absolutely no pressure.
Visit leavethekey.com or call us today for a no-obligation offer at 631-388-7771 if you want to sell your home today.
So I heard about that and I forgot about it. In last episode, we were talking about cemeteries and funerals and so on, and that came up. I didn't know there was a state document for that until then.
There is.
Yep.
There is.
Yep.
For a good maybe 15 years now, 10, 15 years. And the last document that you mentioned, a living trust. So what is a trust? And not all trusts are living trusts. You know, you could have a will that has a trust in it. I know you know, but I don't know if you guys know. You can have a will that has a trust in it. So let me tell you what a trust is. And we have living trusts and testamentary trusts that are in wills. So a trust is an entity that's created through the use of a trust agreement. So we, the attorney, would draft a trust agreement creating this entity that holds assets, and those assets are going to be managed and distributed in accordance with the terms of the trust. But we have trusts for many different things. And every trust is drafted for some sort of purpose, to avoid probate, to make sure that a grandchild doesn't get $1 million at age 18 and blow it on a Lamborghini.
That makes me crazy.
That Lamborghini was meant for you and me.
That's right. That's right.
I'm teasing. I'm happy with my car. But I'm teasing.
I drive a minivan. I'm not a Lamborghini guy.
Me neither. I drive a little car and I love it. Anyway, but you want to have a trust for many different things. So a trust is an entity that holds assets, and those assets are managed and distributed in accordance with a trust agreement that the attorney, such as myself, would draft. And you do it for a purpose, to avoid probate, making sure that minors don't get at age 18, making sure if there's a child or grandchild with special needs, doesn't go to them directly. It goes into a special needs trust, which could go into the will or a living trust. And it could be a Medicaid trust, etc. The problem, you had mentioned special needs. If you have that provision in the will, that special needs trust provision in the will won't be good until the will is probated. And
that's
when you
interesting.
probate the will, typically takes at least a year. So, and for many, many reasons. So people like to avoid probate, make it easier, and they want to make sure that the money in that SNT or special needs trust will be there when the special needs individual or even minor with a minor's trust need it. So if you put these trusts in your will, and you can do it, though, again, those are called testamentary trusts, they won't be valid unless until you die and the will is probated.
Correct. And those trusts usually get funded at that point as well.
Yes.
They're usually not funded until after death.
They're not funded till after you die and the will is probated.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and when you say it takes about a year, or at least a year, we're talking about New York. We're talking about New York. I don't know other states, but it's just crazy. I don't know how quick
I think
other
Florida
states
is even worse than New York.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? So that's why we'll go down there. We like to get eaten up here, beaten up down there.
Yeah, right. Well, at least there's no estate tax in Florida. Or income tax.
That's true, but I don't understand. Did they just about get rid of property tax in Florida as well? Was that Florida I heard, or was that Texas?
I don't know.
One of the states.
They're going to pay for anything.
That's the point.
Pave the streets. If you don't have an income tax, you don't have an estate tax.
Right.
If you don't have
property tax.
Donations.
Donations.
I can't see somebody donating to your state.
They don't think so, huh?
No.
But you said people are inherently good.
Right.
More than half.
So your favorite charity is not New York State?
It's not New York State.
All
no,
right,
no.
okay.
They take plenty already.
Just was curious.
They take plenty already.
They take enough from you and me, right?
So I heard recently that the Florida state budget is less than New York City's budget.
Wow.
It's less than New York City's budget.
New York City's budget is pretty huge.
It's pretty huge. Bigger than the state of Florida. The state of Florida, I think, has 4 times the population. It was a multiple, 2 or 4 times the population of New York City.
Really?
And think of the geography. Think how many feet of road you have.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, so that's kind of just goes to show we're not very good with money up here. But put that aside.
Okay.
So now we understand the difference between the living trust and so on and so forth, which is really important. People have no clue what that's about.
Right.
And
absolutely.
So, and the question is, we've always heard you want to prepare a will. And then trust became popular. And trust became popular for a series of reasons. And I'm not talking about a living trust, any kind of trust. I don't want to be specific here, for a series of reasons. And one of them is the cost of long-term care has made putting money into trust much more valuable today than in the past. And there's other reasons, and not going through probate, as you said, saving the year.
Saving the year, but even more than the year, attorney's fees, and also access the money right away.
Well, yes. And we buy homes from people who, it's crazy. They're selling the home because mom died 18 months ago, and that 18 months, they didn't have the money to pay the mortgage. So the house is now in default for 18 months. The bank's coming after them. They're being hit with penalties and interest on top of penalties and interest, and they know can afford to catch up.
Well, once the executor of a will gets letters testamentary.
But that takes a while.
It takes a while.
Yeah.
But you can get expedited letters, number one. And number two, once you have full letters, the house could be sold.
Yes.
But the money can't be distributed to beneficiaries.
Right. Which, at least getting the house sold, stops the bleeding.
Yes,
it doesn't help otherwise, but stops the bleeding.
Right.
And we're dealing with a case right now in Brooklyn. It's over 3 years. It's done. It's finished. It's waiting for the judge to sign off. It's been 2.5 months.
Wow.
2.5 months.
Wow.
It's been done. The clerks have finished all the paperwork, has to just sign it. So we reached out to a local politician in New York City. I wrote a letter, sent it an email, sent it to the client. He sent it over to the person. The person said, you should speak to your attorney. That's the politician's advice was. What good is that?
Usually politicians get involved.
That's what I was hoping.
Make a call, and something happens.
And we said that thing's been sitting for 2.5 months, waiting to be signed. That normally takes a few days to 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And it's been 2.5 months, and my client is old and frail and may die. And if he dies, the whole thing, oh man, this goes to hell because it gets
Terrible.
really complicated.
Terrible,
It was owned
yeah.
by his mother. And a long story, not important for this podcast, but it gets so complicated. If he died, there'll be no living beneficiaries. It would just be beneficiaries of the beneficiaries.
Oh, wow.
No beneficiaries of grandma. And it would be nightmarish. So we said this in the email. You should reach out to your attorney.
Yeah.
You don't think we've done that already? So thank you.
Wow.
I've never, ever reached out to a politician for help, ever.
Yeah.
And this is the first time I didn't do it, but I did it sort of on behalf. And
Yeah.
it went, no, very
I
disappointing.
have in the past, and the politician would pick up the phone,
Yeah.
make a call, and somehow magic happens.
Yes.
You know,
I've seen it, but I never needed it,
Not
thank
this
God.
one.
So, all right. So let's explain in a little more detail how a trust can
Sure.
serve those benefits. But obviously, besides the time issue, what else do they do?
Sure. Let me tell you what a trust does. So
Yes.
many different things.
Yes.
First, I just want to explain the parties to a trust,
Fair enough.
which I think is really important. So again, a trust holds assets. Those assets are managed and distributed a certain way to accomplish certain things. And I'm going to get into those things in a minute. Who are the parties to a trust? You have the individual that creates the trust. That individual is called the creator, the settlor, S-E-T-T-L-O-R, or the grantor, G-R-A-N-T-O-R. Then you have an individual that's the trustee of the trust. The trustee or trustees, you could have more than one, manages those assets and distributes the assets in accordance with the terms of the trust. If you're the creator of the trust, you could also, depending on the type of trust, be the trustee as well.
Yep.
And then you have beneficiaries. That's what I want to be.
That's right. That's what I mean.
And you could have a lifetime beneficiary. Someone just gets income for life. The remainder beneficiary. Someone gets income upon death, or someone gets income after 10 years or a certain number of years.
Yep.
So just to explain the parties to a trust and what a trust does. So what types of trusts do we do? Minors trust. We put that minors trust in every will and every trust because you never know. You could have 3 children. They could all die before you and money may be going to minors.
Yeah.
Do you want that minor to get all the money at age 18? Who's going to hold it until age 18? Many of my clients want to spread it out. On the way here, I spoke to a client, and he's going to be changing this, and he's fine, and his kids are fine. But he actually put in his documents, his trust, third at 35,
Wow.
third at 40, or really half of the balance at 40, and the rest at 45.
I did 25, 30, 35.
Right. And now all of his kids are much more mature. And he said, I don't know what I was thinking.
Right. Well,
So,
but it was right at the time. Wills have to change and trusts have to change.
Right. So we're changing his these were trusts.
Yeah.
So we're doing an amendment to the trust. Very simple. And we're fine.
Yep. People change. You have to protect
Right.
kids from themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
And kids grow up.
Right.
And sometimes grow up and do well.
Right. Yeah,
So-
exactly. Oh, and by the way, this is an irrevocable trust.
Oh, wow.
And many people think you can't amend or revoke an irrevocable trust, but you can.
Right.
You know,
If
so
they don't check.
we painstakingly try to draft our irrevocable trusts so our clients can revoke them if need be.
Right.
And so this was one of these trusts.
I learned that a few years ago. You have to give like notice to the trustees, to the beneficiaries,
Well,
I believe, or something.
you need the
approval.
the creator,
Right.
the consent of the creator, the trustee, and all the beneficiaries.
Yep.
We found a way around that.
Oh, really?
The way around that is there's a way to make the trustee the beneficiary for a day even. And so we don't have to go to everyone, And, when we did this trust, he named a friendly trustee.
Right.
And the friendly successor trustee.
Right.
And a very friendly successor to the successor. He made sure there won't be any issue.
Right.
And there's zero issue.
That's
It worked out well.
That's because he made himself the beneficiary, so he signed
well,
off.
no, he's not the beneficiary.
I think they said the grantor made himself the beneficiary.
No.
Oh, I was going to say, because I didn't know you could do that.
No, but the grant, yes, you can, the grantor, the creator of the trust, made it so that he can change the beneficiary.
Oh, he can change the beneficiary.
Even for a day.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So, which is what he did.
Right.
So change the beneficiaries. Then all the beneficiaries were changed to the trustee.
Mm-hmm.
The trustee signed what needed to be signed on behalf of all the beneficiaries, i.e. the trustee.
Right.
Did what we did, and then we changed it back the next day. It was easy, simple, but we got around that law.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's the fun part of this business.
I love it. It's so creative.
Yeah.
So we have trust for minors, and that's in every will and every trust.
Mm-hmm.
In case somebody, beneficiary becomes incapacitated, we have an SNT, supplemental needs trust provision in every will and every trust. We have provisions for addiction. You never know. You're thinking about a grandchild. Said, oh, how cute. He's 3 years old. And we hope he's still cute when he's 18 or 21.
Yeah.
But he could
be in a hard rock. What do you call it?
He could be in a rock band, right?
Something terrible like that.
You know, it's funny. I never regret, moving on and doing what I'm doing. Yeah. Although I just love music. And for a short stint, I was general counsel of a record company.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
There you go.
I spent all my lunches with the AR people, artists and repertoire, going through, the different tapes and, downloads that they received. It was so much fun. So anyway, but now I'm doing what I love.
There you go.
So we have trust, for addiction. We put it just in case in all of our documents. And then there are other trusts to protect assets from Medicaid. So even if you're in the middle class, what is middle class today?
Sure.
I don't even know. But all I do know is I changed the law on retirement accounts and Medicaid years ago. I had a theory that retirement accounts, because we're an SSI Medicaid related state, that retirement accounts should be exempt from Medicaid, but they weren't.
Right.
So I challenged New York City on a case, and we went back and forth with briefs, and the attorneys at New York City, one of which was a client of mine to begin with, maybe a little bit of a conflict, but I wasn't a conflict via my client. Anyway, and we prevailed. And so New York City said, okay, on this case, your client's IRA is going to be deemed exempt. And I said, Joe, we have 20 cases pending.
Right.
We do Medicaid applications on our firm. We have a whole Medicaid application department, and we do these Medicaid trusts all the time. And, I said, they're exempt.
That's fascinating.
And he said, absolutely, they're exempt. Nassau County went along with it. Suffolk County was a big holdout. They didn't agree with that for about a year and a half.
Really?
Yeah. Until there was a fair hearing decision in Monroe County, and one of friends of mine, an elder law attorney up there, Renee Reichak, brought a case and won that fair hearing. So that was a long road as well. But retirement accounts, I don't care if they're $500,000, $1 million.
Right.
They're exempt for Medicaid purposes if they're in payout status.
Right.
Because that's what the SSI rule said.
Okay.
So that's how I
So if you have a Roth, where we're going a little off-field, but this is important. If you have a Roth IRA, that never goes into payout status.
You want to bet? So if I have a client, this is where you got to be creative.
Yeah.
If I have a client with a Roth,
right,
and the client wants to keep the Roth,
right,
it might be going into a nursing home for 2 years, but they're not going to make it much longer or whatever. What am I going to do with that
Turn on
Roth?
the payout, annuitize?
Put it into payout status.
Yeah. Okay. So you don't have to have a payout status a certain number of years before anything of the sort?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay.
We don't do it unless and until you need to do it.
Right.
And when you're age 73, you have to take your RMDs, your required minimum distributions. It's going to go up to age 74 at some point.
Yeah.
Not for a while.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you have a Roth, absolutely.
Okay.
We'll
so
put
it's not
payout.
mandatory. You're doing a voluntary payout.
Voluntary.
Okay.
Because the law doesn't say mandatory.
Got it.
Yeah.
That's very clever of you.
Yeah.
My background, my father, we did got an unheard of private letter ruling. Never been backdoor on that ruling, ever. And it was, I'll tell you off camera, it's not important to take time here, but it was a phenomenal piece of work. Took him 2 years.
Right.
But it was someone who worked with, spent years trying to get it done.
Yeah.
My father, like a decade.
Right.
My father got done in 2 years.
Good for him.
Yeah. So my father loved what you, the creative nature of this business.
It's very creative. But getting back to a situation. So everybody that's listening or watching should know you're in the middle class. We could do Medicaid planning for you. You have an IRA, it's $750,000. We could do Medicaid planning for you. That's exempt. You have a home, $5 million home, $1 million home. We could put that into a Medicaid trust. We have a lot of clients that are real estate rich.
Yes. Especially on Long Island.
Especially on Long Island. Yeah. But, they might have 500,000, 100,000, 700,000. These are the clients that we do the planning for, because if they don't do the planning or you don't do the planning, you might be like those spouses that will be impoverished for no reason.
Yeah.
And you want to do this planning 5 years before you, and if you have a spouse, before you and your spouse need the care.
And what day will that be?
You don't know.
Of course you don't know.
You want to do it while you're well.
Right. Like now.
Yep. So do the planning in advance. And I should say, even if you did not do the planning, there are still ways we could protect assets.
Right.
Or at least some of the assets.
We had someone who came to us with a home and they couldn't afford it anymore. There was a rental and the tenant moved out and it was owned by great aunt and mom. And I'm dealing with the son and great nephew, same person. And he came to us, say, could you buy my home? My mom needs to unload the home. She's on Medicaid at home. My great aunt's on Medicaid in a facility. And we know if we sell it, they're gonna get nothing. So why are they selling it? Maybe let's let it go into foreclosure. I said, no. Let me bring a specialist in. I brought someone from our group. And they got $705,000. That's what we paid for the house. They kept over $500,000 of it. They thought they were going to get zero.
Yeah.
Zero. They're already on Medicaid.
So many different ways.
Yep.
And by the way, if someone's on Medicaid home care, say getting, 8 hours a day or 12 hours a day, we can actually preserve under current law all of that money.
Of it. Yeah.
I don't care if it's $1 million.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's $2 million.
Yeah.
I mean, the program wasn't meant for multi-millionaires, but, having $500, $1 million is middle class today.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I was watching a video on the minimum wage, talking about raising the minimum wage in New York City and what do you really need to live and so on. Yeah.
And knowing that retirement accounts are exempt.
Yep.
So,
which is usually the home and the retirement account are the two biggest assets.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're both exempt.
The home is not exempt
while you're alive.
Per se.
Or isn't it while you're alive or while you're living in it?
Well, it depends on the equity value of your home. If you're going into a nursing home and your equity value in that home is under just a random number, but that this is the number this year, $1,130,000.
Right.
Then you can sign an intent to return home.
Okay.
And we put all these provisions in our power of attorney.
Right.
Just to make sure everything is shored up. But you have an intent to return home, the home will be exempt.
But once you die,
Medicaid could recover against the home. So we always do the planning. Just because it's exempt going in doesn't mean on your way out that Medicaid can't recover.
Right.
So we have to do Medicaid recovery work.
Correct.
And we make sure that Medicaid won't recover against the home.
Do they typically try to recover?
Well, if you do the intent to return home, Medicaid typically puts a lien on that home.
Okay.
But if you wind up going back home, they have to remove the lien. They don't do it automatically, but they're supposed to. So we bring in action to remove the lien.
So let me ask you a question. That opens up a whole process I want to get into, but I'll keep it simple. So I'm in a nursing home. I'm not doing well. I'm not going to make it. Mm-hmm. So I could choose not to make a nursing home, or I can go back home and not make it at home. I'm back home now. And if I file the proper documents, all that lien is taken off.
Yeah.
And now I die, my heirs can sell that house before a lien's put back on. Are they intend on putting a lien back on when I'm dead, or no, it's gone, it's gone?
Gone.
Wow.
So, true life story. Yeah. So we had a client in a nursing home for years, always made it such a big deal. I want to die at home.
Right.
I want to die at home. I don't want to see any medical machines. I don't want to be attached to machines. I want to die at home, and I want my family around me. And that's why I'm keeping my home. So he'd signed an intent to return home. We put it lots of provisions in our powers of attorney. So we had that. He was in a facility for about 5 years. The Medicaid bills that were racked up were huge, well over $1 million. And when he got worse, decided to come home. And we worked with Medicaid. They said, we're not taking this off. I said, would you have to? And we spoke to them, and they eventually did.
So if they didn't have an attorney, that lien wouldn't have been removed most likely.
Probably not. Probably not.
You think the government's going to do what it's supposed to do?
No.
But
that's not what they want to do.
That's not, well, yeah.
So they want to recover and have more money. Anyway, so we got the lien removed. We thought he was going to die pretty quickly, but he died several months later. So we had months, which was good. And he was in his environment. He wanted to die at peace at home. And his family, in the same vein, saved the house.
Right.
Saved the house. No Medicaid lien, no Medicaid recovery.
Right. That's number 3.
Yeah.
Ding. You hit the bell. You rang the bell.
Good.
That's a big, I did not know that moving back home thing.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
If you really go back home,
right.
And
if you go back home for a day, you can't do anything because you need time to actually have it removed.
Right.
How long does that process take?
Well, you may not have any tubes attached to you.
Right.
Yeah.
No, having Medicaid release the lien.
Oh, that took a while.
I mean, is that a multi-month process, I imagine?
It could be, but it shouldn't be.
No.
You just,
Shouldn't in reality.
If it's a UCC lien, you just file a UCC 3 and remove the lien. It shouldn't be a big deal.
Right.
Yeah. So
that's phenomenal. There's a limited amount of things we can talk about. As I said at the beginning, if I said it on camera off, but we can talk for 6 hours, 8 hours.
We could.
So
I don't want to give anyone a headache.
I don't want to give anyone a headache, but that is such a phenomenal piece. I've spoken to and being in a peripheral field to yours, an adjacent field to yours, I've never, ever heard that, number one. Number two, my clients really weren't Medicaid people. They were retired educators from New York City. They all had pensions and Social Security.
Good.
But I never heard that anyway. And being in the business I'm in, I deal with a lot of financial distress. I never heard that. And I like to serve a purpose to the people who call me. Like I said, we help and we buy houses too. The more I know, and doing this podcast teaches me things, I'm able to help that much more.
Absolutely.
So, but with that said, if there's one takeaway if someone said, I need a summary of this not a summary, but I need to highlight, what would be the big highlight of this podcast? The most important thing you can say?
Yeah, what people don't do. Okay.
No. Yeah.
Don't procrastinate.
Yeah.
Plan ahead. You're in real estate.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know what they call it, but the motto, when you're in real estate is location.
Right.
Location.
Right.
For me, plan.
There you go.
And do it in advance. That's it.
Plan, and plan today.
Plan today.
It's never too early to plan.
Right.
And I'm going to sit there and harp on my thing. If you're thinking of getting pregnant, so you're a young person, write a will. Because you need someone to take care of your child if something happens to you and your spouse.
Absolutely. At a minimum.
At a minimum. Absolutely. You may have no dollars, no money. It's not about the money. It's about you have 3 siblings.
Yep.
Who's going to take? One of them may take the kid. They may fight over the kid. Who knows?
Exactly.
So that's the last thing you want. You want your wishes. So otherwise, who decides? The court.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what you want to decide who's taking care of your child.
Right. So God forbid, a young couple is in a car accident,
Yep, absolutely. So question for you, how do people get hold of you?
Sure. You call my office. We have a very simple number, 516-466-4422, 516-466-4422. And I'm a little embarrassed to say the following, but years ago when toll-free numbers were in vogue, I had a toll-free number.
Yeah, me too.
So, and I still have it.
There you go.
Why not?
Go ahead.
Because sometimes I go with people, I'm never going to remember your number. I don't have a pen and paper.
Right.
Well, it's 877.
Right.
So 8 lucky sevens.
Right.
877 estates or 877 elder law.
Oh, there you go.
Easy.
I can see why you kept it.
877 elder law or 877 estates. We'd be delighted to help.
You got to be able to remember that, guys. So, Ron, it was a real pleasure. I thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Same
Thank
here.
you. This was great.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Unlocking Senior Resources podcast by Leave the Key. If you've enjoyed this episode or found it helpful, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this podcast. We specialize in working with seniors who are transitioning out of their homes, and we understand what you are going through. So if you are considering selling your home and would like an alternative to the traditional overwhelming process, reach out to see how we can help. When working with us, you can sell your home in its current condition, there is no need to remove unwanted items, and you control when the house is sold, along with so many other advantages. Visit leavethekey.com or call us at 631-388-7771 to learn more about our senior home buying process.